Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori. Today, I'm very excited to share with you my third and final vlog for the first Law Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, wherein I read The Last Argument of Kings. So this was a very interesting experience for me, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys and get to the end so that I can try to put my thoughts about this book in some kind of order. But with no further ado, here's the video. Okay, so I just dropped my kids off at VBS this morning at summer camp, and I brought this along. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to read in the car or if I'm just going to head home and cozy up and read. But we're finally here. We are finally at the last first law book, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read this, you guys. I have absolutely no clue, none whatsoever, where Abercrombie is going to take this story. I literally have no predictions. I don't at this point. I don't know. Obviously, there's going to be some convergence of characters in this book, which I am 100% ready for. That sounds amazing. Ready for it. Other than that, I don't know, because there isn't a clear plot delineation throughout the story, so I'm not sure where it's headed, and I'm not really sure what the end goal is, other than, you know, Baez having his little excursion. Yeah, that's all I got. Let's do this. Alright guys, so it's day 2. I just dropped the kids off again, and I read through the 3rd chapter last night. I love Glokta as a character. I think he's fantastic, and I love his chapters. I'm interested to see if we get to view him in any environment or capacity outside the, like, Archlector's puppet torturer, this book. Like, I want him to move beyond that in some way, and I'm really hoping for that. Not because I don't love his character, but because it's starting to feel a little static to me. I can't wait for Jezal. To be perfectly honest, I think after the Northmen, Jezal's character arc, I don't know that I'd necessarily say, like, it's tough to call him my favorite character after them. I don't know that I'd say that necessarily. I do like him a lot, but I feel like what I love about him is the character arc that I'm getting from him in this series, and I think it's really, really dynamic and interesting. So I'm curious, now that they're coming back to Ardua, what is going to happen. I'm assuming he's going to meet up with Artie again, and that's going to be a whole thing. The whole excursion to get the magical artifact with Baez was, like, pointless. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know what Abercrombie's doing, if he wants me to feel like that whole thing was pointless, but I kind of do. I was going to say I'm sure there's a point, but I honestly don't know, because it's Abercrombie. So I don't put it past him to totally put this, like, magical artifact excursion in the book and have it just be like, well, that didn't work out. Like I said in my last vlog, I don't really know that I have predictions. Major West and the Generals are interesting. They are something else. It's kind of like the Greasers and the Soches out here with Mr. Croy and Boulder. I don't know. Like, I don't really care about West, to be honest, still. And I know that there's a lot of this book left, and that he may have something, redemption arc, maybe, but I don't necessarily think that I can count on that. The Northmen are, I mean, they're so great. I say that, I realize that a couple of them are questionable, not naming any names, but Black Dow. But overall, I just find their dynamic so interesting, and their chapters are always like a hoot, and there's something going on all the time. That's where we're at. I'm going to keep reading some today and get through some more of this, and I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, so I'm back in my kitchen. I have read not quite 100 pages of this. I wanted to give you guys a quick update. I'm about to go to bed and I read some more. I got through a Jezal, a Glokta, and a Pharaoh chapter. And I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of rough. Like, I was not thrilled with Jezal and Artie's meetup again when he comes back. I get why he wrote it the way he did. I just was really disappointed by it. And then we get a little bit further and Glokta's chapter just felt a little bit flat for me. It didn't feel, I just feel like we're kind of going through the same kind of emotions and we're not really going anywhere with Glokta at this point. Pharaoh, especially right after the Artie and Jezal chapter, I'm just like, I was really disappointed that Artie and Pharaoh both feel very, not static, that's not the right word, but I don't know, I'm not loving either of their characters anymore in book 3, and I really liked Artie's character. I thought she was really interesting in book 1 and book 2, and now I feel like I'm losing interest in her character, and I'm just struggling to invest in her character arc. I'm struggling to want to keep going, which is not where I thought I would be at the beginning of this book. The Northman chapter was good. I really liked that at the beginning, and I have hope for Jezal having a really interesting and dynamic character arc. But overall, I feel like I'm kind of slowly chugging to a halt in this, and that's really not where I want to be. I'm obviously going to keep pushing through it, but I'm not really being hooked by anything yet. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna try and come back to it some tomorrow, and we'll see if I can get a good chunk in tomorrow and see how I feel in the morning. I'm on page 120-ish of Last Argument of Kings, and I'm feeling a little bit better than I was on my last update, to be honest. I got to chapter Ghosts, wherein Logan reconnects with the Northmen, and that was a really great chapter. Glokta's chapter after that was much more interesting, I think, than the ones previous to that. So I definitely feel like we got to a better place after the 3 chapters or the beginning in general. I feel like just overall, other than the first Northman chapter, I wasn't a big fan of the opening of this, but I feel like it's starting to pick up a little bit, and that's making me feel better. I was really worried for a second there, I'm not gonna lie. We're going back into Jezal now leading an army and being clueless, which I'm at a point where I'm realizing, like, obviously Baez is orchestrating a lot of this, but like you guys know from my previous vlogs that Baez isn't really that intriguing of a character for me, so I'm starting to even wonder the difference between Malachus Quai between book 1 and book 2. He had that massive shift in temperament, and now I'm starting to question everything. Like, you know, did Baez place Quai out in the forest for Logan to meet way back in the beginning? Like, how much of this has he orchestrated? All of a sudden, everything is, oh, these people are being mind controlled, and oh, these people are having their emotions tampered with, etc., etc. So now it's like, okay, well, how much of this is Baez's doing? Anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna go pick up the kids from camp, their last day, and I'm hoping to read some more later today. All right, it's time for a front porch chat. I read one more chapter since my last update, and Jezal just rode into the city to the adoration of the citizens for no reason. Yes, I know there's actually a reason, but like, And within the first paragraph, Baez telling Jezal about the ancient kings. And it was like a light bulb went on in my head. And I was like, is Baez grooming him to be the next king? And then we got to the end of the chapter and the king just happened to die. I don't know if the Northmen are going to save this book for me. Like, one of the issues that I'm having is we've got a really soft magic system, which most of the time I don't care. Magic systems are not a make or break for me with books. This one specifically, like, it's allowing a lot of conveniences to happen. Baez just being able to, and then this person just happened to do what they wanted because Baez told him to, and then this just happened, and then this just happened. So it's basically creating a plot with a ton of really just kind of convenience-based movement, and that's really bothering me. I'm not a fan of Baez's character to begin with, and this is just making it so much worse. I'm like, and then of course that happened, and that happened because Baez. This whole thing with the king, I'm just not excited about what's happening with it, and I'm just really tired of the conveniences that Baez is bringing to the quote-unquote plot. So that's where I'm at. I'm obviously going to keep going because I will finish this trilogy if it kills me, but I'm 130 pages in. I'm really not excited about where this is going. It's not that I don't care about it, I'm frustrated by it because I feel like it's just kind of turning into, I don't know, like, and things are just kind of happening, but there's no depth to them because Baez is influencing these people and these people and these people. I said it already, but you get what I'm saying. Like, so anyways, I needed to get that off my chest. Especially since Logan and the Northmen are all together now. That's only one POV chapter. For the most part, I don't know how much they're going to feature. I know there's going to be some fighting and they're going to meet up with Bethod, I would assume, at some point. I'm not planning on it, or like, I'm not counting on that, but I'm assuming. Just getting one chapter with the Northmen and Logan, who are actually having to do their own things and they're not around Baez, which is a breath of fresh air. I don't know if that's going to be enough for me to like pull me through this plot. So anyways, that's my little mini rant over, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, guys, so I'm on page about 170, and Jezal was just named High King, which I was expecting. The element of him being a bastard son of the previous king, I don't know how I feel about it. It's fine. I'm not looking forward to all of the just Jezal being in the middle of, like, Archlector Salt's manipulation and Baez's manipulation and everyone else's manipulation, and I just feel like that wasn't necessarily the character arc for Jezal that I was excited to read coming off of book 2. Also, how the heck did Pharaoh get into the High Council chamber? All right. I was like, how did she get in here? Anyways, Logan is also going to be stranded because Lord Marshal Burr died. Of course, in the most inopportune time. Everybody's dying that is in a position of power, and it's causing all sorts of issues. I'm trying to remember the name of the other, the slightly crazy Northman, Crummock. He's going to have to keep them all alive. And I think he can do it. He seems like, he's been holding out against Bethud for a while. I felt a twinge of pity for West there. I will admit that. I felt a twinge of pity because I was like, trying to move these two now, like, what a job. So I did feel very slightly bad for West in that particular instance because I know that he's trying to do the right thing and support the Northmen, which is admirable, and he's feeling powerless because Polder and Croy are just being stubborn. So I get it, and I feel bad because I feel like that's a bummer. My goal is to get to at least page 200 or 250 by tonight, because I would really like to cruise through this in the next couple of days and just see how far I can get. Logan and the Northmen have saved this book for the time being. They are giving me grimdark Helm's Deep battle vibes, and I'm living for it. I love Helm's Deep. The Battle of Helm's Deep is one of my favorite fictional battles of all time. I love it so much. The movie version is one of my favorite sequences ever in a film. So the fact that I am getting like small force tucked in this rocky cliffside fortress that's, you know, kind of sort of old and ruins, and they have to kind of shore up the walls, and they're preparing, and they are facing this massive, like 10,000, almost 10,000 man army from Bethid, and they're waiting for their secondary force to come flying over the hill on the opposite side to save the day, and they're not going to get there to the last minute. Jezal and Baez can just do whatever it is they're doing, but I am here for the Northmen and Logan right now. They are absolutely saving this book for me right now. And I will say that the chapter I just read with Major West, who is now Lord Marshal West, the way that he handled Croy and Polder, yes, that was a long time coming. It was absolutely delightful to read. I loved it. After all this time, I'm so ready for this battle. I'm so ready to see the Northmen all together crushing Bethid. I'm sure there's going to be some twists. I know there's going to be some twists. If Abercrombie kills another one of the Northmen, I may riot. Can he kill somebody else on the other side of the map? Because don't touch the Northmen. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just gonna wait for editing Tori to insert a sigh here if it happens. But anyways, I'm now on page like 200 and something. Okay guys, so one of the things about this vlog is I try really hard to give as honest of reactions as I possibly can. I am on page 289 of this book in the chapter The Seventh Day, and I'm putting this down for a little bit because I'm very, 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 very angry right now. Like, I have not been this angry at a book in a while. The Bloody Nine, which, and this is a hill that I will die on, the whole ridiculousness of Logan having this alter ego or whatever it's supposed to be that is underexplained and underdeveloped, in my opinion, in this story, who supposedly is like comes out when Logan has a battle rage, which I don't know why Logan isn't just known as the Bloody Nine because he flies into a battle rage and kill. Like, I don't understand why it needs to be a separate thing. It doesn't. It makes no sense. It doesn't add anything to the story. And for no reason, none, absolutely no reason, Logan, or the Bloody Nine, just killed Tolduru Thunderhead. And I've been so frustrated by all of the other POVs in this book. And I was like, the Northmen are saving this book for me. I'm going to read this chapter before I go to bed because it's like the Battle of Helm's Deep. It's going to be great. I'm really excited to see the culmination of this with, you know, the Union finally showing up and the Northmen and Logan holding out till the end. And if like one of the Northmen had died in battle, okay, fine. I would have been frustrated by it because I'm like, I feel like the only characters that I actually care about in this book are now just being picked off. And the way that it happened just makes me so I am so angry right now. And it's not because, oh, wow, like that death really had an emotional impact. I feel like it was the most pointless thing ever. And that the Bloody Nine makes no sense. Nothing was happening. It does not make sense to me that the Bloody Nine came out or whatever. I don't understand. I don't understand the Bloody Nine. I don't. I really don't. I do not understand the point of it being a separate entity. I'm really, really angry about this and the way that it happened. I'm really angry about it. And I don't know if this book, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it at the end, but that is a massive hit to my experience with this book. I'm going to put it down. I may even pick up something else to read for a little bit in between because I'm so mad right now. I try to be really, really honest in these vlogs. So welcome to Tori Gets Mad at a Book. Here we go. I don't know when my next update will be. I don't know where I'm going to be at. Thank you for listening to my rant. It is about 2 days after my little rant section. I have picked it up again. As you can see, I'm a good chunk of the way through it. I'm on page like almost 400, I think. I wanted to kind of put the camera down for a little bit and just read a few chapters and let myself kind of sink into the story a little bit more and do my best to reconnect with it, which I feel like I've done to some degree. I got through the scene where Logan and the Feared have their duel, and that was incredibly well written. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliantly done. And I loved the kind of side parallel story of Dogman and Grimm and Black Dow going to take out Bethod's witch. And that was fantastic. It was such a good chapter. The Circle was that chapter. Jezal is showing a little bit of backbone, which I'm here for. He stood up to his wife a little bit, which was great because they've been talking to him like crap and treating him like crap, and he finally decided he was done. He's showing me that he might jump out from underneath Baez's thumb, and that's honestly what I want at this point. I want to see Jezal come into his own and not just kind of be manipulated. I feel like Glokta is kind of in a weird position right now, but I am very excited about the prospect of him when he goes to talk to Artie and she basically says, well, what if I would pick a third suitor, and the wheels start turning for Glokta about that. I'm excited to see where all of those things go. Logan is gonna need some stitches for sure after that battle. There's a lot of interesting things being set up here, but I'm nervous because I don't know how well they're going to be resolved, and I think that's where my concern mostly lies at this point. I still hold to my opinions in my last vlog update where I was very upset by some of the conveniences and character choices, and the whole thing with Thunderhead was not okay. The fact that he died wasn't what made me angry. It hurt me because he's one of the Northmen, so I was very upset about it. It was just the Bloody Nine. I could go on an entire video rant about why that is a completely unnecessary plot device, basically. And I think Logan's character is worse because of it. But that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people absolutely love it. I just personally really don't agree. I think that if that kind of character element was going to be included, it would have had to have been written a very different way, because I just think the way that it's being included is not great. I'm on page 400-ish, and I'll keep you guys posted with how I feel about the end of this book, because I've got about a little over a third left, and I'm hoping to finish in the next day or two. So here we go. So I'm at about 450 pages in now, and I just finished the chapter where Adwa is being flooded with Gurkish soldiers, and Jezal just ran out with his knights, and did a charge into the blown up hole in the wall, which was cool. That was cool. I really like Van Gorst. I think he's a really cool character, and I like that that he's still being included in the story and that he actually has had kind of a tiny background character arc. That's pretty awesome. The whole House of the Maker and Ptolemy is randomly still alive, which honestly doesn't surprise me. I kind of figured that was going to come back into play at some point. But I just feel like the story is trying to shoot in so many different directions right now. If you really sit down and figure out all of the different directions that we've been pulled, even in the last 150 pages in this book, it feels very chaotic, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I'm curious. Again, at this point, I feel like I'm just curious to see how all of this wraps up. I really think that Abercrombie is very gifted at writing combat. I'm loving all of the combat sequences in this book. I was excited to see Jezal charge the Gurkish. It wasn't the arc that I imagined him going on for this, but I do appreciate that we've gotten to a point where he's really thinking about, I got everything I wanted. I have the power, I have the quote-unquote authority, I have the crown, I have the queen, I have all of the things, and all of it sucks. So I appreciate that about his character arc in this. Guys, Generals Croy and Polder just shook hands and wished each other good luck in a battle. This may be the most surprising thing that happened in the entire book. And also, we love to see the growth. We love to see it. All right, guys, so I'm going to try and get through a bunch more of this tonight. It's been a ride. So Severard and Frost are gone now, apparently. Okay. Honestly, I don't know that I have feelings about it other than it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. I could have maybe bought Severard. Okay, fine, I guess. But him and Frost both at the same time, and just, I don't know. Things are starting to get heated with the Gurkish, and Adjua is slowly falling. It'll be interesting to see what Jezal ends up king over, if anything, at the end of this. And I'm interested to see if Ptolemy comes back in at some point, or if she just kind of gets locked in the tower and that's the end of it. Then I don't really see the point of her coming back at all. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, so as you probably noticed, I stopped vlogging and there was a big chunk of book left. I got through about page 450-ish, I think, in the vlog, and then I literally just sat down and binged through the last almost 200 pages. Whew, man, have I got some thoughts. And I finished this last night, so once again, I'm going to make the disclaimer that these are my very fresh, very raw thoughts coming right off of the book, so I'm probably not going to be as coherent as I would be in a week or two when I've had time to really think through it. I really struggled with this one, you guys. I know that this is a controversial final book in a trilogy for a lot of people. I know that I am not the only person who wasn't a big fan of how this book ended. I don't think for a minute that is the fault of Abercrombie's writing. I think he's a brilliant writer. I think his character design, his combat, his dialogue, just all of that scene setting is so good. It's so brilliantly written. What really got me in this book was the conveniences. Basically the way that the book's agency, all of the character agency, just kind of disappeared through this last book. So the plot conveniences were a massive hurdle for me in this book. I struggled a little bit in the beginning, as you guys saw, and then I got to about the halfway point. I started to kind of pick up things here and there that I was invested in, and then I got to about the middle where we have the kind of Helm's Deep version of First Law. Thunderhead's death, I think, was kind of the beginning of the end for me. And after that, I found some incredible scenes that I loved reading. I loved the duel between the Feared and Logan. I thought that was brilliantly written. I really loved, Dogman and Grimm and Dow going in to take out the witch. I even loved, Jezzel charging through the gap against the Gurkish in Adua, and I loved some of bits and pieces of Major West and how Generals Croy and Polder actually worked together for once. There were definitely things that I really connected with in this book, but I felt like every time I would reconnect a little bit with the book, I'd be torn out of it again by something that really, really, really bothered me. There were so many things coming out of nowhere, not just deaths, but just in general. There were so many things coming out of absolutely nowhere. And I knew that Baez was behind a lot of that, and the more that came to light and to the forefront of the story, and the more we discover that Baez has been orchestrating all this, it just removed so much of the agency from the other characters and made me less and less invested in what they were doing, because it was like, well, it's Baez, I guess. And I didn't like Baez's character from the beginning, so the fact that he was in control of everything very heavily diminished my interest in the rest of the story and the rest of the characters. I predicted pretty early on in this book, and probably even towards the end of book 2, that Artie and Glokta might end up together. That was something that I actually enjoyed at the end. I thought, these two people have been through a lot of crap, and they're actually a really good fit for each other in terms of companionship and intellect and all of those things. West's wasting disease thing, also oh, by the way, also there's a wasting disease, and oh, by the way, Grimm died, got thrown into a tree. The way it was written, I don't know, it was just kind of out of nowhere, and then I was just and he's just picking off the Northmen one after another, and they were the characters that were carrying the series for me. Black Dow didn't die, per se, but it was kind of a character death in the sense that whole interchange between him and Logan didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I didn't understand why Logan would come back and challenge him after he didn't want to be king. I didn't understand why, yes, I understand that we've been foreshadowing that Black Dow has an issue with Logan sometimes, but at the same time, I didn't understand why he would throw in his lot with Calder and Scale. That didn't really make any sense to me, and I don't know, all of that felt kind of weird. This is one of my overarching disappointments with the series, and that is that Jezzel was probably my favorite character arc coming out of book 2. I absolutely loved his character arc and the growth and the dynamics and everything that he was representing in the story. And then we get to book 3, and it was just this slow nosedive from the beginning. There were a couple of moments where I was like, yeah, that's Jezzel, but that was mostly when he was acting apart from Baez, which just kind of fizzled out at the end because Baez. Leaving out resolution isn't necessarily what I'm getting at here. I don't know that I needed a particular resolution in this book. A big thing that I'm going to say, and I know I'm probably going to make a lot of First Law fans mad with this, I will die on the hill that the Bloody Nine as a separate entity from Logan is a useless plot device that actually minimizes how cool Logan's character is. To me, there was absolutely no reason that he needed to be a separate entity. I can see Logan flies into a battle rage and is the Bloody Nine, fine. But the fact that it was a separate entity that really didn't have any specific parameters or anything was incredibly frustrating, and I think the whole Tolduru death was a big part of that for me. I had disliked it, as you guys know from the previous vlogs already, but this really solidified my distaste for that particular plot device, because what I thought I had learned about the Bloody Nine was that he is going to appear, and I don't even understand how this works, but he's going to appear when Logan is in the middle of a battle or he's in a battle rage, etc. So the whole Tolduru moment made absolutely no sense and felt like a plot contrivance because we needed to kill Thunderhead and have an emotional, like, I'm gonna punch the readers with this. It doesn't work. And it really made me angry. Book 2 is definitely my favorite of the 3, which is still tough because I feel like a lot of what happened in this 3rd book kind of nullifies pretty much everything that happened in book 2, and like the whole quest to get the magical artifact was totally pointless, which I know I mentioned in the previous vlog, and I don't know if that was the point or not. That was probably the point. Okay, also at the very end, the way that Therese and Jezal's relationship ended up made me incredibly upset. I'm fine with having no resolutions, but it was like the entire end of the book was just, I'm gonna throw all this stuff at you, resolve none of it, nothing makes sense, nobody has agency, Baez is behind it all. The end. I know so many people that love this book, so if you've gotten this far and you're really upset with me because I didn't love it, it's okay. Like, if this is like your favorite series of all time and you absolutely love this book, that's awesome. That's cool. I'm just sharing my personal opinion and my personal reading experience with this trilogy. I do intend to read more in this universe. The standalones are definitely on my TBR, but I think I may put a bit of a break in between reading the trilogy and reading the standalones, just because I need some space away from my very high emotions about this book. I want to reiterate that I can completely understand why Abercrombie is such a beloved author to so many people, because his writing, I think, is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I love his author voice. I love his character design. I love his combat sequences. I love the dialogue. The inner monologue in Glocta's chapters is so funny and so well done. Oh, Frost and Severard also. That was another came out of nowhere bit. I really understand why people love Abercrombie as an author and why they enjoy the series. I enjoyed a lot of parts of this series immensely. So don't take this as I hate it and it's all bad. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the vlog. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments. Keep it respectful. And I hope you guys are all having an awesome reading week. And I hope that you are all reading 5-star reads. And I'll see you in the next video.